Greetings and welcome to another episode of Veterans of the Cedar Valley. My name is Tom Haggerty. I'll be your host for this segment. In the past episodes of the Veterans of the Cedar Valley, we've interviewed veterans who were in Korea, World War II, Vietnam, Iraq, and Afghanistan, and also other subjects of interest to veterans have been on the show. We're happy to have in the studio today Mike Butler, who represents the VFW, and Mark Ripplinger, who is our Parks Director. And welcome to both of you.
Thank you.
We're going to have a discussion today on the latest addition to the Veterans Park. And first off, Mark, why don't you just give me a little brief history of the Veterans Park?
Thanks, Tom. The park was actually developed back in the late 1990s. It was on a remnant parcel of land that was left over from the Waterloo Road reconstruction. And phase one was the establishment of a flagpole, 55 foot tall, the five arms of the services, Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine, and Coast Guard. And then a number of bricks were installed commemorating veterans and families that actually served in our services.
And the park is located where in Cedar Falls?
It is across from the entrance to Cedar Falls Utilities, which is on the intersection of Waterloo Road and 14th Street.
Okay. And how long has the park been there, Mark?
We started planning in the late 1990s, which is about 1998. Started as kind of a brainchild of Colonel Tim Rippey, Sid Morris, and other individuals from the community.
And we're going to get into some of the other details of the park about midway through the show, but Mike, I'd like to ask you, the purpose of this show is that you're launching a fundraiser, we'll call it, for a new addition to the Veterans Park. What is that addition? Please explain that.
We're hoping to use some land on the periphery and do a Gold Star Family Memorial Monument. And that would be a small area and yet 4 marble monuments in a row. So that would be the gist of the project.
Well, what is the Gold Star Monument about, Mike?
After World War I, a group of women, particularly in the Washington, D.C. area, came together and this is before women had a right to vote, and realized that they had to band together to get their message across, that it was their boys then that had been sent off to war, and they wanted a way to commemorate that and to memorialize them.
Well, if a veteran was, or a soldier was killed in a war or in a conflict, are they called Gold Star families then?
Yes. Yes.
And they get a banner. I visualize a banner that we have down at the AMVETS for.
Well, and that's kind of how this grew. Initially, when in those days the boys would go off to war, even though by the time World War II came around, it was men and women. Then you would put a blue star, a ring of red around a white field with a blue star, and you would put that in your window, and that symbolized that one of yours had gone off to war. And then the next step would be, if you got that notorious stopping in, giving you the message, the brief message that your son or daughter was lost, then that would become the Gold Star, and that helped them not need to say to the whole community, yes, our boy died.
And Mike, where did the Gold Star Monument process start?
Woody Williams is a Gold Star, is a Medal of Honor recipient, and he realized he earned the hard way in Iwo Jima during World War II, but he realized that the family needed to be commemorated, not just the soldier, sailor, Marine, Air Force.
And Mark, between you and Mike, how long have you been planning or working on the Gold Star Monument in Veterans Park and the process that's going to follow after this?
Mike and Sid Morris and I have been meeting probably for the last 8 months or so. An idea that Mike brought forth It's a continuation of the different phases of the park. This is phase 6, 5. Yeah, there've been so many recently. But a lot of the other phases have been pretty much wrapped up. This was an idea that Mike brought forth and went through the Park and Rec Commission, went through City Council, and it's been endorsed by them also.
Well, you're calling it Phase 6. Where in Veterans Park will Phase 6, the monument, be placed?
It's going to be at the intersection of Bluff and 14th Street. It is across the street, across 14th Street, from basically Veterans Park as you see it today. So it'll be across from Phase 1 and just up the street from the new entrance sign that was placed on the corner of Waterloo Road and 14th Street. So at that intersection, you would go west on 14th Street, and it'll be at that intersection of 14th and Bluff.
And Mike, the pictures I've seen of the Gold Star Monument, it's a pretty big monument, correct?
It is. The tallest piece is about 7 feet tall. The weight of the thing coming in would be about 15 ton because it's a lot of marble.
And what's going to go on? We've got a picture on the screen, but what's going on the front of the monument?
Well, when you bring the monuments together, you get a cutout of a soldier saluting, and then just mostly verbiage describing what it is. And then at a later time, we hope to have gathered Gold Star family information and build on that.
Well, that's my next question. On this monument, will names of Gold Star families be engraved or veterans?
They will not. I would venture to say we've had 7 Gold Star families just in the Iraq-Afghanistan conflicts in Northeast Iowa, and we're not inclusive or exclusive to only Cedar Falls. We want others to be included. So we think it'll be a pretty significant number.
And you're going to do a fundraiser. In fact, that's what we're trying to do with this kind of, we'll call it the launch of your fundraiser, to purchase this Gold Star monument and put it in Veterans Park. Mark, how much is the monument going to cost?
The cost estimates at this point, just for the monument itself, is about $40,000.
Okay.
The specifications for the monument are set. The monument themselves are pretty standard. They're going to look similar in different communities, and so there's really no guesswork at exactly what it's going to look like and how big it's going to be and those sorts of things.
And Mike, have you had any early donations or kickoff money, we'll call it, made towards the Gold Star Monument?
We have. The 3 Cedar Falls organizations, the AMVETS and American Legion and the VFW, usually band together on these kinds of things, so we've each contributed some money. Mercy One contributed some money. Sid and I spoke at the Exchange Club, and they, a couple of members contributed, and they are working on making another contribution.
So if somebody wants to hear about the Gold Star Monument, you'll be willing to come and appear before them and talk to them about it, like a service club?
I will. And my calling card is having Sid come along. Everybody likes to have Sid there.
Well, we all know who Sid Morris is,
Yes.
and that. And real quick, Mark, if somebody wants to make a donation towards this Gold Star Monument, there'll be a slide on the screen. But could you just remind people, how they make a contribution and why they're sending it to where they're going to send it?
There's an account set up with the Cedar Falls Community Foundation specifically for this project. Checks can be made out to that organization, and will be put in an account that would go towards the improvements in that park. The individual donating may want to check with their tax advisor, but for the most part, when you contribute through the community foundation, those donations are tax deductible.
Okay. And then you'll get a receipt for your donation, of course, sent from the community foundation.
That's correct, Tom.
And Mike, we're going to be taking here a break shortly, but Are there any other fundraising ideas other than just this kickoff and asking for donations?
As my friend Sid said, Cedar Falls particularly has been very kind to us, and as we've reached out, in-kind kinds of contributions have been made, and that's helpful. But basically, yes, we'll be reaching out to groups and people.
And then Mark, the city will be providing some assistance on installation of the monument, I'm sure, just like they did with the entrance sign there at 14th and Waterloo Road.
Yeah, we haven't worked those details out yet because this is such a new project, but a lot of the improvements that you see in the park have been in-kind donations, like Mike had mentioned. Individuals have donated concrete, individuals have donated the stone. We're looking at possibly doing fundraising. There's going to be 5 limestone blocks in there that people can purchase. So as the project gets a little bit further along, we'll be starting to work out the details. Obviously, the city will be a participant in helping in any way we can, but we have actually found the community to be very supportive, and most likely 90 to 95% of it will be completed with outside individuals.
Cool. We're coming up on a break in the show, and we're going to have to pay some bills, but we're going to take a couple commercial breaks, and we'll be right back to complete this program on the Gold Star Monument. Please come back and join us again for the second half. Welcome back to the second half of the Veterans of Cedar Valley show. My name is Tom Haggerty. I'm your host today. We've been visiting in the studio with Mark Ripplinger, the Parks Director for Cedar Falls City, and Mike Butler, who is representing the VFW, but also both are representing a project that is being launched in our Veterans Park on Waterloo Road. Thank you again for being here, you guys, and we've been talking about the fundraiser for the Gold Star Family Monument. And Mike, bring us up to date again on what the Gold Star Monument is and what it stands for.
Really, it isn't about the veteran, or it's about the family that has to stay behind when someone is called up to basically go to war, to go in harm's way for us. And when that person unfortunately dies on the field of combat, however, the family is recognized by the Gold Star Family Monument.
And in the first half, I think you mentioned that there were 6 Gold Star family from Afghanistan or Iraq conflicts?
In Northeast Iowa, in
Northeast
what we
Iowa.
consider the Cedar Valley.
Okay. And Mark, real quickly again, where will the Gold Star Monument go if the fundraiser is successful?
The plans are that it will be at the intersection of 14th and Bluff, which is about across the street from Phase 1, where you see our 5 services and our the large flagpole we have there.
And if people have not been to the Cedar Falls Veterans Park, first off, I want to compliment you during your career as Parks Director for creating such a beautiful park. I mean, we're proud of it as veterans, and people should come and visit it and walk through it. And one of the things that keeps Veterans Park down there in good shape, maintenance-wise and otherwise, is the sale of bricks. And you can't miss the bricks when you walk into the park. First off, where are the bricks located, Mark?
The bricks are in front of each service, in front of the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, and Coast Guard. And we should say Sid Morris actually sold our 3,000th brick last year. And so we're up over 3,000 bricks at this point. The bricks are $75, and they are eligible for anyone that wants to commemorate a member of the family or an individual that served in any of the armed forces. The funding from those bricks will help maintain the park. We have to replace the flag, the two flags actually, the prisoner of war flag and also the American flag, and then also updates for the plantings and those sorts of things. So the goal when the park was built, that it would be self-sustaining with the donations of the bricks.
And you mentioned that old veteran Sid Morris, having sold the 3,000th brick in the park. Which side of the bricks has the most bricks? What service side?
It's the Army. Obviously, the two services that actually come off the Waterloo Road side are the Army and Navy, and those have the largest number of individuals.
And if people want to get a brick, Mike, tell us how simple it is to get a brick.
Well, it's really quite easy because we have a brochure, and on it you can fill in the name, and we have the right number of boxes, so we can't overwrite what is needed to be done. And then you make a check for $75 to the Civic Foundation, and twice a year we update our bricks. So you can contribute today, but now it would be September before we would get your brick laid.
And those brochures are available, say, at the AMVETS, at the Cedar Falls Recreation Building on
Yes.
Main Street. And the cost of the brick, again, is how much?
$75.
And that you can fill out your brick form. I think there's 3 lines on the brick that would be engraved with your veteran that you're honoring. Mark, does a person have to be from Cedar Falls to get a brick in the Veterans Park?
They do not. Obviously, when this park was built, it was for our metropolitan area, but we have individuals in any parts of the country, whether they had family here or they had family in other areas. You do not need to be a Cedar Falls resident to have a brick engraved.
And one of the most recent changes, I think, on the bricks is that if you have a family, you can have the family bricks located together. Is that true or not?
That's correct. Obviously, when we first started, families, whether it was fathers, grandfathers, cousins, uncles, brothers, sisters, a lot of them would put their bricks in the same location. Every once in a while we'll get somebody that wants to take a brick and put it in near a family member, so we will try to make accommodations to take care of that. In most cases we've been able to do that by just shifting some of the bricks around.
Okay. And the purpose of this show actually is about the Gold Star Monument and the fundraiser that you're kicking off with. I'll take credit with this show. And how much, Mike, is the Gold Star Monument going to end up costing?
Well, in the overall, you would expect to spend about $100,000 for everything that's happening. The monument itself will be about $40,000.
And is there a Gold Star Monument in the state of Iowa at this present time?
Actually, there are 2, and they were dedicated last month. One is in Esterville on Highway 9 as you come into the city, and it's in a very nice location. I just saw it this last week. And then the second one, which has been done for a while and is in the Fort Dodge area, but it's in their county park. And that one also is very nice in a little bigger setting, more like our city park is.
So Esterville, Iowa, and
Yes.
Fort Dodge, Iowa
Yes.
have been able to raise $40,000 for a Gold Star monument,
Yes,
correct?
they have.
And this is what you're launching now, so I'm sure that Cedar Falls will be the next one that gets a monument built. Tell me again the history, a little bit about the history of how the Gold Star Monument started.
Well, a really nice man, much older and wiser than I, was a Medal of Honor recipient, and he realized about 9 years ago that there was a need to honor the family. And so through his foundation, they did a lot of work on what would it take and the look of the monument itself and how it should lay. And so they're supportive that way, and that's why we kind of all will have the same look, and then it's how we dress it up on the sides.
Okay, and Mark, if people want to make a donation towards this campaign, are they going to send the checks to Mike or to you or to me, or how do they make a contribution?
The checks can be actually probably handed to any of us sitting in this room here, yourself, Mike, myself. But they should be made out to the Cedar Falls Community Foundation, and those will be deposited into an account specifically for the Gold Star Family Memorial Monument project.
And again, Mike, on the monument, once you're successful in raising the $40,000 and installing it, will names be engraved on the backside?
Not on the monument itself.
Okay.
But we do intend to have a place to do that.
And it's the Gold Star Monument is to honor all veterans and their families that have been killed or in a war, right?
That's correct.
And thus you can't engrave everybody's name on it, but we'll be proud to have it in our Veterans Park. And in our Veterans Park, again, I want to splash a little bit towards Mark. The planning of our park has been tremendous. It's a tourist destination, and people come in, they get to see the Freedom Rock, they get to see all the bricks around the flagpole, they get to see the Gold Star Monument, and then the section or phase 2 or 3 was the picnic shelter, I believe. Help me out on this, yeah. Mark. But is that picnic shelter available for people to use?
Phase 2, thanks Tom, that was the construction of a shelter that was actually designed by one of our area architects. We had a lot of individuals contributed towards the construction of that project, whether it was the concrete, whether it was the structure itself. It is available for rent through our recreation center, and it just like any other shelter, if a family wants to hold an event there, they can come down, maybe first come, first serve. If there's no one there, they can certainly use it, but if they do want to rent it for a specific time to make sure that they get exclusive use, they would contact our Cedar Falls Recreation Center.
Good. And once again, I want to mention that old veteran Sid Morris. I mean, he's been involved, I think, in the Veterans Park probably before I was born. I'm not sure. I mean, he's that old, but and we want to thank Sid for his efforts and conjunction with the city, Mark and Mike. We want to wish everybody success in this fundraiser for the Gold Star Monument, and I'm tickled to have you guys here on the program as we come to the end of the program. And once again, thank you very much for your dedication to the park and for your service to the country. And Mark, good luck in your retirement.
Thanks, Tom.
Okay, thank you. Boy, that end came up fast, didn't it?